What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the GSN Sports Network podcast. I'm your host, John J. II, here with Sobo, our golf analyst, golf insider, expert, however you want to classify it. Sobo, how you doing, man?
I'm good, John. How are you, sir? Not sure about the intro. I just roll with the punches, man. Many years of watching it and enjoying it, and I don't know about all that expertise. Although I think I handed you a few good picks for your listeners throughout the year in the majors and so forth. So I'll leave it at that. Um, Everything's good. Trying to get some last rounds in. Fall is a great time of the year here in the great state of Michigan. Colors are changing, and trying to get out for my last handful of rounds. How about you?
Doing great, man. It's fall golf is some of my favorite golf, especially in the state of Michigan. And I love playing golf all year round, but especially in the fall, you really get all those, those fall scents in. You got the leaves changing colors. It's a really great ambiance just to be out there. And as far as the titles, I think like you said, you handed out some good picks over the years. I think you're very well deserving of all those titles that that I gave you. So we're looking at the Ryder Cup, man.
It's kind of funny. I was thinking, you and I swapped a couple phone calls and everything, and you asked if I would jump on for a few minutes and talk to you a little bit about the Ryder Cup. And I got to thinking about, we always do that Masters show in the beginning of each year, and that's always a great time of the year. And I was thinking after I hung up with you the other day, I said, this is pretty close to the second best time of the year, especially when you run into the Ryder Cup year, because the Ryder Cup always falls right now, the end of the month, right? So you've got baseball, which is coming into playoff time. You've got the NHL getting ready to kick up here in about a week. And then you got college football and pro football that are 4 or 5 weeks in, 3 weeks in on the pro side. So everybody's just kind of trying to get tuned into fall sports. And then all of a sudden, you find out that the US of A is jumping on an airplane and they're heading over to Rome to play the Ryder Cup. And, the Ryder Cup, I think, is such a cool event. And I don't know. You look at the overall landscape of that event, and you see these guys that go out and they play for their countries. And year in and year out, if you look at all the guys who have been through it and played in it, the Tiger Woods, the Phil Mickelsons, the great late Payne Stewart. This is just a really, really cool event, John. And I think that we're in a pretty good spot with our sports right now. And I know how much you love that with your GSN Sports. So I think you're in a pretty good place to be able to talk about a lot of cool things.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you mentioned that important time of the year alongside the Masters time, and we're kind of in that same mode right now. You got NHL starting up, you got baseball coming into the back nine, coming into hole 18 for baseball. We're looking at the AL and NL DS here, so it's a great time of year because you got a lot of sports going on. You got kind of playoff sports happening, and then you also got new horizons happening. You got great events happening in golf, especially the Ryder Cup being that premier event going into the fall with most of the season events mostly over with, majors, etc. So it's a great time for sports. It really is, and it's exciting. College football is very rampant. I know we wish our Spartans were in a better state right now, but
well, that's for another time, I think.
That's for another time. Yeah, we don't have time for that.
We don't want to talk about that. We want to talk about something fun. Something fun that's going to happen at 1:30 tomorrow morning. And
I know it's a bright and early one.
I know you and I talked briefly on the phone the other day, and I told you how I felt about it. I don't know where we sit in terms of how we're going to do. And, the pairings have been released for tomorrow. I don't know if you caught that or not, but if we get out of that 2-2, I think Zach Johnson's going to be pretty damn happy. I'll leave it there. They're going to have their hands full, and I'm not saying that we're not good enough to win, but I think you and I talked on the phone the other day, and I brought up an interesting stat that I've shared with a couple other people. And that's we haven't won over there in 30 years. So, they play every other year. They rotate, over there, then to USA, et cetera, et cetera. So we probably haven't won over there in 7 matches or eight times, 8 trips over the pond. So, it looks like Luke Donald came at us pretty hard for tomorrow. I don't know if you saw the pairings or if you can pull them up by chance on one of the screens, but you got, Rory's going off late, and he's, he's, they're, they're gonna do, they're gonna do some damage, I think, to us, and I don't know that we can get out of a hole if we're down 3-1. And I'm not saying that's going to happen because I don't know. I just, you got Rory and Fleetwood playing Cantley and Xander. I mean, I'd like to see Xander and Cantley win that. I just don't know. I mean, Tommy Fleetwood's a grinder. It's the last match before they go into the afternoon. I think the real match, or the real match that we have a real good shot at, is Ricky and Colin playing Straka and Shane. It's Straka's, I think, first Ryder Cup, so he's going to have some butterflies when he comes out on that first tee, and there's 5,000 people breathing down his neck. And I just think Victor Hovland's hitting the ball too well, and that Ludwig Aber is a really, really good young player. And if you look at some of the stats that the US of A has, God, I hate to say this, but Brian Harman is 36 years old, and he's our oldest guy. And I think Europe, the oldest guy they have is probably like a Shane Lowry or a Fleetwood, and those guys have played in this thing. So I guess what I'm getting at is I don't know. With Spieth and Thomas, he sat on the opening foursome. I don't know, but then again, I'm not Zach Johnson, and I'm not in control of any of it. But if I would have been him, I think I would have been coming out swinging. And if we go down 3-1 and put 4 of our best teams out there, then so be it. I don't know. I don't know what'll happen in the morning. If I was going to open up a ball, I think they're going to be happy if they come out 2-2. I would say that the Europeans go up 3-1 right out of the pocket, and if we get swept, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I don't know if Zach Johnson and the rest of the captains have a different strategy, but it doesn't look like they're coming out swinging right away in the Friday foursomes. It just doesn't look like it, and it looks like Luke Donald is. So do you want to play and get the points early is the question I have, or do you want to fight going into the weekend and beyond and be fighting for points? That's what it looks like on paper. That's what it looks like looking at FedEx points, etc. It just doesn't look like the U.S. team is coming out swinging, like you mentioned. So I don't really know what Zach Johnson's plan is, but hopefully he's got a plan up his sleeve. And you got to think the U.S. is going to contend, whether we're playing in Rome or not.
I'm not saying that. I'm just, I'm saying that, I was thinking about what you and I talked about the other day. Okay. So we're going on their turf. So right then and there, I almost want to give them 3 points out of the pocket, right? They earn 3 points just off of playing in Rome in front of their home crowd. We know how that is over here when they play, whether it's at Shinnecock or wherever they play, Whistling Straits, or, whenever they play the Ryder Cup here, right? You're guaranteed to get some points just because of the home field advantage. And I think the Ryder Cup is similar to that, John. I truly do. And, tomorrow morning in 4.5 hours, they're going to put the peg in the ground. And John Rahm and Hatton is just a great match, or a great pairing, I think, on Luke Donald. And the other thing is we have three rookies. I think I read a little while ago, we have three rookies that, just are not, they've never played in this. And, you're on a stage on the road. So, it'll be interesting to see how some of these younger guys take it on, and JT and Spieth will probably be paired together tomorrow afternoon is what I'm figuring. I don't know where they'll put Brooks. I'm really surprised they didn't put Brooks out of the pocket. I mean, he hits the ball well. He is, whether he's live or not, I give him a lot of credit because he loves this event, and I think he thrives on it. And we'll just see how he fares and how they do.
Yeah, it's an important distinction. I know live has been a very popular subject here on the show when the show does air, but I guess you mentioned Brooks Koepka, and you also mentioned Bryson DeChambeau, which is not present in the U.S. team, which is surprising to me, coming off a big win in the live golf this past week. But I guess how do you make that distinction between a player that has sworn allegiance to the live golf tour, basically said sayonara to the PGA Tour, regardless of the partnership that has been signed and has yet to take effect. It just seems like there's still a sour taste in everyone's mouth about those, the mixing of live versus PGA.
That's you're dead on, and I don't know if you caught any of I caught it late. I've been watching a little bit late at night, Golf Channel, and Rory McIlroy made a great point. He said, "Look, we miss those guys that were supposed to be on this team, but they and I think he was referring to Sergio. Sergio should have probably been on this team. It probably would have been a captain's pick because of his passion of the country and that whole mantra of I want to win for the Europeans and stuff like that. But Rory said, hey, they chose to exit, and this is what they're giving up. We're going to miss them. We miss them around the locker room, playing cards, whatever they're doing, having a team dinner with them. But they miss us just as much as, if not more, because now it's setting in what they gave up, like you're saying. That's on them. And we had this conversation a year and a half ago, I think. And I'm still not 100% sold. And I think, obviously they're gonna redo the deal or whatever, and everybody's gonna be one big happy family. But I'm kind of curious to just see how the Americans, do with Brooks on the team and a couple of rookies. I mean, we're loaded, and everybody's like, oh well, we got the best players in the world. I beg to kind of. I'm not 100% sold on that. I really am. I am, but I guess I'm on the fence because I look at the Europeans and I just see their passion, and they got beat last year. You saw the interview with Rory on the last hole. I mean, the guy was crying. That's how much he cares. So they have that much more fire in the jug to take it to us. And I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I hope it doesn't come down to a big day on Sunday. I hope we don't have to steal. I hope we don't have to go like 9-3 to win, and that could very well happen if it comes down to that in the singles. I don't think we hold a chance. I mean, I hope it's something where you get to watch, from 3-4 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's pretty close down to the wire. But if these two foursome matches, today and the matches on Saturday go the wrong way, and we're in a hole, it could be a long weekend for our guys.
Yeah, it very well could be, especially playing on foreign soil. Let's just take a look at the teams real quick while we have them in front of us. So this is Team Europe. Sobo, if you don't mind, give us a little bit of analysis just on what we're looking at here as far as not only the team and the dynamic, but the individuals that build the unit. Who are we working with here, and what kind of fire are we playing with?
I think, in a 15-second look, I mean, Matt Fitzpatrick's a good ball striker. You got Tommy Fleetwood. He's always top 10. and he's a grinder. Tyrell Hatton, grinder. Don't know much about Hojard. He's a young and up and comer. I think he's the youngest one on the team. I don't have to talk about Hovland. I don't have to talk about Lowry. Robert McIntyre's a grinder. Straka's a newcomer, but he's a really good player. And I mean, the other three talk for themselves. It's plain and simple. Rory, Rahm, and Rose. Rose is like that silent killer. He's gonna beat guys because he's gonna make pars and he's gonna make a lot of them, and then he's gonna make birdie when he needs to. He's a grinder. Par, is what he is all about. And John Rahm and Rory, they're the leaders. I think they're gonna put the team on the shoulders, and away they go.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned most of these guys are posting top tens week after week, especially in recent past. Victor Hovland has a win under his belt in very recent history. McIntyre doing some damage in the Scottish. So there's a lot of guys on here that are going to do damage, especially in a team setting, because they've done it in a individual setting. We've seen them do it. And playing as a unit, slice it up however you want to, but if you can play well as an individual, you can kind of, decipher how you're going to play as a unit, and you're still going to be playing on Sunday, the individual event. So you got to look forward to that. And this team is not to be messed with, but we got to look at the U.S. side too.
Yeah.
Got some young guys on here. Go ahead.
Sam Burns has never played, but I liked him in a couple of the bigger events. I mean, he's a young and up and comer. I just don't think now, I think he was a good pick. Cantley, there's not much to talk about. Wyndham Clark, he's a rookie. We'll see. I think Ricky Fowler's going to be great, I hope, because I know how much he loves the USA and playing for the country. Morikawa will be fine. He reminds me a lot of Hovland. And, we talked about Brooks a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how Max Homa does. I mean, I think he was off to a fast start and then he didn't fizz out, but he just flattened out throughout the year, if that's a pretty good look at what he did. Obviously, Harman won the major, and he's a lefty, but he's your oldest guy out there. He's 36 years old for the USA, and he's never played in the Ryder Cup. So I think he'll be interesting. And then, the bottom four, I don't have to say anything about. It's pretty simple for your listeners and your viewers. You got four of the best players in the land, right there. And you mix it in with Kopka and those five guys are probably going to really have to take these younger guys, Homa and Harman and Sam Burns, and take them under their wing, and Clark, right? But Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas have played a lot together in President's Cups and Ryder Cups and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see them play a couple matches like everybody else. But Scheffler's going to make a lot of birdies, and they got Xander's out with Cantley tomorrow. I guess those two guys play quite a bit together. So that might be a match that we need to win. But we'll see how it all pans out. I think you're going to know a lot probably after the first round on Saturday morning, and hopefully we're not in a hole. If we come out, tomorrow morning, if we can come out 2-2, I think Zach Johnson will be very happy. You come out 3-1 up, you're doing backflips. I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be a good three days of golf.
Yeah, it definitely will. I'll tell you this. I am very hopeful that this will be the catalyst to turn the boat around for Justin Thomas. JT needs a prayer. He needs help. I think it was a great pick to put him on the Ryder Cup team, especially given his latest performances. He's in a rut. Let's just put it out there. He's in a rut. He needs to dig himself out of this trench that he's in. And I think this could be the catalyst to let him do that. You got some young guys on there. You got some veterans on this team that I think you can really rally them together and hopefully get a good performance out of them. You got some great captains, some vice captains in there. Davis Love III, Steve Stricker, Jim Furyk, Freddie Couples, and Stuart Sink. I mean, those guys, if you don't look up to them, then you can't really call yourself a golfer or golf enthusiast. So I'm looking forward to seeing the best and the best out of all these guys because I know they have the capabilities to make it happen, and they have the coaching core to do it. And I just want them to play good golf and be in contention. That's really all we can really hope for.
Yeah, it's you know, it just kind of goes back to the NFL, right? You know, we were all breathing deep 3 weeks ago tonight when our Detroit Lions opened up against Kansas City, and all we wanted them to do is keep it within a couple of points, and they end up, winning, right? Anything can happen, John. Let's just call it what it is. Golf is a funny game, and I just, I hope our guys are ready. The one thing I am a little curious about is, they played that Fortinet last weekend, and then they didn't fly. I guess they didn't fly over there till Monday or Tuesday, which was kind of interesting to me. I would have thought that he would have had them out there to, Sunday, get your body ready. Like, oh, well, they're all on these fancy planes. Well, I get that, but the Ryder Cup, and I got to take off here in a few minutes, but I'll let you think about this. When you look at the grand scheme of sports, like you guys do in your podcasts and stuff, think about the rivalries. All of these rivalries over the last 150 years since sports started. This is one of those rivalries that a lot of people know of, but they don't really think about the blood and the guts, and they're not playing for anything. Playing for very little. They care about that trophy where, when the Cowboys and the Steelers played in the 70s, right? They played probably 2, 3, 4 Super Bowls. Buffalo Bills played in 5 Super Bowls. You got the New York Giants and the New York Jets, right? They always played. No matter, you could be 2-13 and the other team's 6-7, but the records are out the door because the Jets wanted to beat the Giants. Back it up even further and look at the Detroit Red Wings and the Chicago Blackhawks back in the 70s. They didn't have what they have today. They didn't have 8-ounce, 10-ounce, 12-ounce hockey sticks. It was a piece of lumber, and they were going at it, and they didn't care. That's what you get to see over the course of the next 72 hours. You get to see that kind of fire, like the Colorado Avalanche and the Red Wings, or better yet, how about Larry Bird and Magic Johnson? In the 80s, the Celts and the Lakers, right? All these deep, stark rivalries. This is what you're going to get in golf, because that's what it is. It's a rivalry that's so old, and it's just, it is. It's a great event, and I think it's grown. That embarkment and that I want to go, or I'd love to be able to experience 5,000 people, yelling tomorrow morning at 1:30 in the morning when the first foursome walks out of the tunnel. So it's true. And all these other rivalries are good, but I don't know, man. There's just something about the Ryder Cup. It's kind of like the Cubs and the White Sox, or the Mets and the Yankees. Those people hate one another. You walk into New York City and the guy says you're a Met fan, you might get clocked, right?
Easily.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you got to watch your back. And I guess even to go into the world of college football, it's similar to the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry.
Yes.
You can throw that in the equation too.
Well, and you could throw all of it in there, John. I mean, everything that you guys talk about on your college stuff. What about USC and UCLA? What about Notre Dame, USC? What about Florida State? What about Michigan State? What about Ohio State, Michigan, which you brought up, or Mississippi State? Game's been played for how many years on Thanksgiving night? It'll never go away, right? It's that big of a rivalry. And if you look this year, look at the record. If it's 3-8 and one team's not making it and the other team's 5-4, and they need that win for the playoff, the other team wants to be a bowl game. The other team wants to be the team that knocks them out, right?
So right. Exactly.
That's what it boils down to. And I think golf is the same way. And I think these guys like each other as partners and as players, but I also know all that goes out the window tomorrow morning at 1:30 over in Rome when they tee it up and they go after each other.
Definitely. I mean, it's the closest thing to a true rivalry, true team aesthetic to an individual sport, which is golf. And the Ryder Cup, as it's as old as time itself, it is so deeply rooted in tradition, and you really can't help but turn heads when this event comes around. It's a big deal. And like you said, these players, they respect each other. They respect the game. They have integrity for the game of golf. But they also have that deeply rooted tradition that it does have an ingredient of hatred thrown in. And it's not for the other players, not hating the other players because of who they are. It's taking part in the rivalry and taking part in the fire that rivalry produces. And it's just so much fun, man. It's fun to watch. It's fun for the players to take part of. It's fun for the fans, the spectators, the patrons. And it's just a great thing overall. I think this is what I think. This is a hot take, maybe, but they should do a similar event, Ryder Cup style, where it's LIV versus PGA. What do you think?
Somehow, some way, I think you might be honest.
Hey, maybe.
But hey,
I'm always thinking.
I like it, but the one I hope it's good, and I hope you guys get to catch some of it. And if you're ever in the metropolitan Detroit, I'll give a little shout out to my buddy Jeff Stallcup down at the Orchards Golf Club. I don't know if you guys have ever played down there, but if you get a chance, go down there. Number 1 golf course in metropolitan Detroit, and I had the pleasure of opening that up with Jeff. So
wow, the Orchards.
Really great golf course. Robert Trent Jones Jr. Go down, check it out. Him and Robert Trent Jones Jr. Senior design one of the first ones out there, and Jeff's a good guy. So
wow.
Go check it out maybe next year or something like that, or even this fall. I'm playing there tomorrow morning. So
wow, this guy never stops. I'm surprised you're not on the Ryder Cup team
never.
USA, Sobo.
My game's over. Game's past.
Oh, come on, man.
Game's past me. I'm over. I like to go out and play and my even par now is 80.
Hey, 80 is not a bad score. Some people would kill to shoot 80.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Have fun out there.
Hey, thanks, Sobo. Thank you so much for joining us on the GSN pod. We're sure to see you here on soon, and we might even see you this weekend if we talk about the mid-round happenings for the Ryder Cup. So thanks again.
All right, man. Stay in touch. Take care.
Will do. Thanks, Sobo.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Sobo, a great golf enthusiast, great addition to the GSN pod. We don't know what we'd do without him. So looking forward to the Ryder Cup. It is a tradition unlike any other, especially when you're looking at the game of golf happening in Rome, Italia, the homeland for me. And it's a great event. And I think I am onto something. When I'm talking about having a LIV versus PGA team or event where you're having two teams go at it, you're talking about true hatred. You're talking about one of those teams deeply rooted in tradition, deeply rooted in history. We're talking over a century, if not more. And you look back at how long the game of golf has been around. You're talking centuries upon centuries. You're talking half of a millennium. The sport's been around. So when you're looking at that, you're looking at a brand new thing like LIV Golf. You're talking about a true hatred that is very alive and very well in the world of golf. And you can all thank Greg Norman for that, as well as many of the prominent PGA Tour players that did play on the PGA Tour before they decided to jump ship and head over to the Saudi Arabian Tour, which essentially is what it is. And I have some hot takes that I'm going to save and I'm going to refrain from expressing here on the GSN tonight, just because it's not needed, it's not warranted. But when you're seeing the Ryder Cup, you're seeing players from LIV and PGA commingle. You mentioned the merger that has taken place. It begs the question. What is to come of LIV and the PGA Tour as one entity? It seems to me that they can never live truly in true harmony with each other. The majors will always, and this is what makes golf great and the majors great. Having the majors be non-sanctioned to the PGA Tour, they are not sanctioned to any tour. They are independently ran and operated by the respected event coordinators. So you look at the British Open, which is known as the Open Championship, that is ran by a certain organization that does the Open Championship. You look at the Masters, the Augusta National crew does that. They run the Masters. You look at the USGA, the US Open, that is ran by the USGA. So no matter how you look at it, it's all independently ran, owned, and operated with individual majors. And that's how it should be. That's how it always will be. That's how you have live golf players playing in majors for each consecutive year, because they're non-sanctioned to the tour itself. It's easy to get that twisted, easy to get that confused with, okay, well, that's the USGA, that's the US Open. That's got to be a PGA Tour thing, right? Not necessarily the case. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this is all going to take place, how this is going to pan out with the Ryder Cup. It's obviously, you have the commingling going on, and they got to play as a team. You got Brooksy playing with Colin Morikawa, Max Homa, Brian Harmon, Wyndham Clark, Patrick Cantlay, Sam Burns, Ricky Fowler. I mean, he's in a hostile environment. He is the only Live Golf Tour player playing on Team USA. And that had to have been a tough call for Zach Johnson, Steve Stricker to make, because you're looking at a outsider essentially coming in and playing on, a domestic team in foreign soil. So how do you slice that up? Can he play as a team player? He has to. He has shown up. We've seen the press conferences. We've seen the photo ops. It's all taken place. It's all been presented to us. So Brooksy is a team player. I really wish Brooksy never jumped ship and went to the Live, because I think he would have done a hell of a job and would have been a hell of an ambassador for the PGA Tour, to promote the tour, to promote the growth of the tour to new athletes, new players, and say, listen, it's not all about the money. It's not all about the money. You got to think about the tradition. You got to think about all the history that has taken place on the PGA Tour that built golf. It built golf into what golf is nowadays. Live Golf didn't do that. They piggybacked off of the success and rode the coattails of the PGA Tour to achieve the status that they did. Throw a little bit of Saudi Arabian oil money in there. And next thing you know, you got yourself a tour. So I can go on and on about that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to save all the hard drive space that I can by not going over that. I'll leave it at that. Make sure to check out and check into the Gin College podcast, coming to you tonight around 10 p.m. It's taking a short break until 10 to get to rally the troops together, to get everyone reoriented into the new mindset, which is college football. We're going into another weekend. Week 5 is approaching, and we have NFL football on as well, with the Lions going against the Packers. So a lot of great things going on, but I'll leave it at that. Be sure to check us out on social media, ginsportsnetwork.com, for all of our articles, IG posts, and updates. See our calendar on there. Find our link tree for all of our links. And be sure to find our link tree at the bottom of this podcast in the description as well. Find this podcast everywhere where you find podcasts. It can be accessed via our website as well, ginsportsnetwork.com. And be sure to reach out to us on Instagram at ginsportsnetwork. We'll get back to you. We answer all the DMs. Everything we receive, we get back to. Controversy, hot takes, we love it all. We welcome everything. So be sure to get a hold of us on there. But for now, I'm John T. II with the GSN Podcast. Have a great night.